the war in the concert promoting industry and the touring industry of musicians and artists has been going on for a long time. The ridiculous ticket fees and things like that for concert tickets has been a battle in the industry since the beginning. Most memorably in my life, being in that business for a minute, was the revolt against Ticketmaster by Pearl Jam and bands like that. They refused because concert tickets went to about $20 a piece at the time. Yes, dinosaurs. We used to ride the dinosaurs to the concerts. And Pearl Jam refused a tour. Their boycott was their tours will never be sold. Their tickets will never be sold for more than $5 a piece, and that was Pearl Jam. And so a bunch of bands jumped on that bandwagon and fought back, trying to force them to lower their fees and stuff like that. Now, Ticketmaster has become part of Livenation. Livenation is a concert promoting business. One of the people running the place is my old boss. So what they do is they basically sign these artists to a tour contract. It's kind of like a record contract. Basically, they get a big loan, and it's paid back through the cost of the tour, the profits of the tour, and all that other stuff. But at the same time, Live Nation takes such a big chunk of the costs of the concert that they're actually giving artists, say, $1 million for their pay. But the artists have to actually pay it all back. So merchandising and the actual tours and ticket sales and parking and everything else, not everything goes to that tally. There's usually a split point on the concert promoter side. One of the things I had to negotiate was there's a built-in promoter's profit, which used to be like 20%. So you get the cost of the show, what you guarantee the band, the promoter's profit, and then you give the band a back-end deal, which is usually 85% over, the profit plus whatever it is, and expenses. And it's usually structured that way. So if the band's ticket sales or profits go into, 20% promoter profit over cost and everything else, then the band gets even more money. That was back in the day. Now they're signing these contracts that basically lock down an artist for 1 tour, 2 tour, 3 tours with all these parameters. We'll pay you X amount of percentage or X amount of flat rate that you have to pay back. And when they take over these venues, they basically, they collect the parking, they collect the merchandising, they collect the alcohol sales, they collect so much more money than what's in the pot for the artist itself. So the artists are already getting screwed out of that amount. Plus they have to pay back all this money and all this other stuff, kind of like paying back a loan. In the old days, when bands got signed, they'd get an advance. And the advance from the record company is usually, a good chunk of change. So, you get that black card, that American Express black card, you live life like a rock star. And next thing you know, you're touring to pay back the loan that they gave you up front. That's why you see so many musicians going broke. They lose everything they have because they buy all this stuff when they get these advances. And they tour and they tour and they tour. And sometimes they don't make enough money on the tours to actually pay back the debt. Then recording time to make the album in the first place, to record the music in the first place, that's all part of that bill. It's not something they just give them. So it is a facade. Being a rock star and touring is a big facade as a musician from the musician side of that, but also from the touring side of that. It's really, record companies have their hands out, the concert promoters have their hands out to an extent, some more than others. And now with streaming and everything else, record companies and what started as Napster and now is iTunes and Spotify and all that, there are artists that are selling out venues that have never actually had a record company put out an album for them. They're streaming all their stuff. It's all digital. So the concert industry kind of had to change the game a little bit. So as it was evolving towards that type of business model in the industry, the Live Nation, the main one, would just basically buy exclusive contracts. It's kind of like the artists in Vegas where they have, their own arena, and it's just them every night. Same theory, but entire tours. So that gives Live Nation a lot of different ways to manipulate the money going into their pocket, not the artist's pocket. On the ticket side of things, it also gives them the opportunity to charge $5,000 a ticket, $600 a ticket, $800 a ticket. And in addition to that, they do it directly through Ticketmaster most of the time. And Ticketmaster, have all sorts of absorbent fees on top of everything else. So it's one on top of another. And because they're the two biggest dogs, they basically run the entire industry. They are now facing the monopoly type of problems. Because they run the industry, they monopolize live performance and basically enslave their artists into a situation where everyone's getting screwed except Live Nation. Everyone's getting screwed except Ticketmaster. So the DOJ steps up. It's like Bell Atlantic, Bell Telephone, when that was broken apart because it was too big. Same type theory, but in the music business. These companies have taken advantage of their situations for a long time. They actually created their whole business model as a evolution of what record companies used to do back in the day, when record companies were the only hope that artists had to get their music out. Now it's not like that. So they have to adapt, and they have to figure out a new way to screw over the artists. So that's what this is. This is going to be really, really interesting the way this works out, because my history in the industry and stuff like that. I've been on many sides of that fence, so it's interesting. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring you the updates as this goes, because I'm interested. All right. God bless. Take care.